Hello and welcome to the Spring 2022 West Calgary Ring Road construction update. My name is Estella Petzold and I'm the public point of contact and communications lead for Alberta Transportation during construction of the West Calgary Ring Road. Thank you for taking the time to view our presentation today. We've provided timestamps so you can skip to the content that you are most interested in. The West Calgary Ring Road is the final section needed to complete the Calgary Ring Road, and it is being completed in 3 parts: the North Project, the South Project, and the twinning of the Bow River Bridge. The North and South segments are being delivered in a design-build contract structure, which allows the contractor to both design and build the project. A traditional contract for this type of project would have the design and construction completed separately, where the design is completed first and tendered for the contractors to bid. The design-build contract reduces timelines and minimizes the overall impact to the public. The Calgary Ring Road, once completed, will provide over 100 kilometers of free-flow travel around the city of Calgary, reducing congestion and improving access to hospitals, schools, workplaces, and recreational amenities. This presentation will focus specifically on the North Project. Joining me today is Emily McVicker, Alberta Transportation's Project Manager for the North Project, and Jonathan Weens, Project Manager with Associated Engineering, the owner's engineer. This update will cover what to expect this construction season, progress made thus far, and an overview of the plans. We've also reviewed questions and concerns we've received from the public throughout construction and at previous information sessions, and have provided information about these topics. Some of the most frequent questions we get asked about include active infrastructure and consideration for desired connectivity in the future, protecting wildlife, and finally information about the project schedule. We've done our best to identify topics that are important to stakeholders. However, if you have a question that is not covered, there is a comment form on westringroad.ca linked below. We understand that this online format may not work for everyone. If you would prefer to speak with someone, I respond to public inquiries by email and telephone year-round. You can find my contact information on the Staying Informed page on the project website. We also share current project information in a weekly newsletter and on the project website. Let's get started. First, Emily is going to walk us through the updated plans.
The Valley Ridge Boulevard interchange is being reconstructed to accommodate the upgrades to the Trans-Canada Highway and the full interchange at Stony Trail. This includes 2 roundabouts, 4 new bridges, realigning Crestmont Blvd and West Valley Road, and new roads to facilitate improved connections to the Trans-Canada Highway and Stony Trail for residents of Crestmont and Valley Ridge. Last year was a significant year for this interchange. After 3 years of construction, much of the new interchange opened to traffic, providing improved access. The new West Valley Road alignment opened, providing ultimate access for the businesses in this area. The new roundabout at West Valley Road, 1st Avenue, and 101st Street opened. Traffic was shifted to the realigned Crestmont Blvd, and the new Crestmont Blvd, 109th Street, and 1st Avenue Southwest intersection opened. Traffic was shifted to the new Valley Ridge Boulevard Northwest alignment, and the roundabout on the south side of Highway 1 opened. The Trans-Canada Highway Stony Trail interchange is being upgraded to a systems interchange. A systems interchange provides free flow movements from one highway to another. This means that the ramps go over or under the intersecting roads rather than having signalized intersections. Because signals are replaced with bridges in a systems interchange, 16 new bridges are required. Before the section of Stony Trail south of Highway 1 could be constructed, almost 2 million cubic meters of rock had to be removed using controlled blasting. Currently, northbound Stony Trail is paved with lighting, signage, top lift paving, and line painting still to be completed. The southbound lanes remain unpaved and are being used as a haul route for large machinery and equipment throughout the construction season. This portion of the project will tie in with the Old Banff Coach Road interchange being constructed as part of the South project, and as such, it will be the last area to be completed.
Cross-sections are one of the ways we use to communicate what is being constructed. We use cross-sections because they illustrate elevations, how high or low a road will be in proximity, how wide the road is at a particular point, or what distance it is from adjacent properties. But we know engineering cross-sections can be difficult to interpret if you're not familiar with them. A cross-section is a bit like slicing a sandwich down the middle, so the layers are visible. There are lots of cross-sections you're probably familiar with, even if you didn't realize you were looking at a cross-section, like the layers of the Earth or the human brain. All of the cross-sections are available on the project website. I'm going to review a few examples to explain how to read a cross-section and point out some of the key pieces of information. We hope this will assist with reading the cross-sections on the website, but if you have any questions, you can always contact Estella. When you go to the website, you'll see a plan that looks like this. Each of these lines represents the location where the cross-section was taken. These are called section lines, and the numbers on the section lines correspond with the numbers on the cross-sections. Using this plan, you can decide which cross-sections you'd like to look at. The arrows on the section line tell you which direction or point of view the section is showing. In this case, we are looking east. The dashed line is showing the original or pre-construction ground, and the thicker solid line is the final elevation after construction is complete. Using this information, we can see that the road has been lowered considerably in this area to improve the steep grade that existed before the improvements. This view, called a profile, shows the original grade or elevation of the road with the black line and the post-construction grade with the blue line. Here we can see that in areas where the ground was quite high, we've lowered the road, and in areas where the road elevation was low, we've raised the road. These elevation changes have helped to eliminate the peaks and valleys to flatten the grade west of Valley Ridge Boulevard northwest. This section, Section 2.1, is looking east and shows both the elevation of the new infrastructure as well as the distance from Valley Ponds Crescent. The dimension lines across the top tell us that the new ramp from Valley Ridge Boulevard to westbound Trans-Canada is about 41 meters away from the property line and about 10 meters higher than the original ground. As we move across the section, we can see there are 4 westbound lanes on the Trans-Canada Highway at the place where the section was taken. Moving further south along the section line, or moving from left to right on the cross-section itself, we can see the eastbound Trans-Canada Highway lanes, the ramp exit lanes for Stony Trail, and the ramp exit lane for Valley Ridge Boulevard. And on the far right of the section is the realigned Crestmont Blvd and the multi-use pathway on the south side of the road. Moving east of Valley Ridge Boulevard and approaching the Stony Trail interchange, Section 2.5 illustrates the new infrastructure in relation to Valley Brook Circle. One of the tough things about understanding a cross-section is figuring out how to think in 3D. It can be helpful to orient yourself using one or both ends of the section. In this example, Valley Brook Circle is on the far left of the section and West Valley Road is on the far right. Once you've identified a landmark, it's a little easier to interpret the section. If I orient my section so that Valley Brook Circle is at the top or north, then it's a bit more intuitive to connect the roads listed on the section with where they are on the plan. As I move from left to right on the cross-section, I am moving south on the plan. The first road I encounter on the cross-section is the new ramp from westbound Trans-Canada Highway to Valley Ridge Boulevard. Looking at the dimension lines, I can see that the ramp is about 15 meters from the property line at the location this section is taken. As we move right or south across the section, the next road is the ramp from Stony Trail to westbound Trans-Canada Highway. This final section is taken through the Paskapoo Slope, and it really shows how much earth had to be removed to lower the grade about 40 meters below the original ground. It also illustrates where the highway will be in relation to the homes along Cougar Ridge Close southwest.
In Alberta, the creation and operation of multi-use pathways is under the care and control of local municipalities, in this case the City of Calgary. Once the project is complete, any multi-use pathways within the Transportation Utility Corridor will be maintained by the City of Calgary, with the exception of the crossings on the bridges. However, since this project is adjacent to the City of Calgary, Alberta Transportation recognized the importance of acknowledging the desire for pedestrian access within the provincial project to allow for future pathway connectivity to occur. Alberta Transportation has included specific sections of pedestrian pathway within the scope of this project, in areas where existing pathway was disturbed by construction, and in the case of First Avenue, in areas where construction of pathway following completion of the project would not be feasible or practical. As an example, the multi-use pathway along the east side of Valley Ridge Boulevard, between Valley Ridge Drive and the realigned Crestmont Blvd, has been replaced after it was disturbed by construction. An east-west pedestrian connection has also been included at First Avenue under Mainline Stony Trail to support a future connection from the community of Crestmont towards Canada Olympic Park. This connection is included in the scope of the project, as it would have been very complicated and expensive to return in the future and construct such a connection following completion of this project. That said, full connection of this segment of pathway to adjoining neighborhoods is not part of the scope of the project. Residents with questions regarding the current or future plans for pedestrian connectivity are encouraged to contact the City of Calgary for further information. On previous sections of the Ring Road, the province has allowed placement of multi-use pathways within the Transportation Utility Corridor. However, these pathways are designed, funded, constructed, and maintained by either the local municipality or others. A conceptual alignment for a future multi-use pathway along the east side of the Transportation Utility Corridor has been identified within the West Calgary Ring Road project area. Like other segments of the Ring Road, this pathway will not be developed prior to the completion of this project, and construction of such a pathway remains outside provincial jurisdiction. Similarly, we have heard feedback from members of the public regarding a pedestrian connection north of the Trans-Canada Highway between the communities of Valley Ridge Bonus Park and Greenwich. A pathway connection between these neighborhoods is outside the scope of the provincial project and will not be completed as part of construction. For further information, please contact the Upper Greenwich project developer about pathway connections planned as part of their development. Over the course of construction, the public has expressed interest in what efforts will be made to protect wildlife. There are two aspects to protecting wildlife in relation to the west section of the Ring Road. One is keeping animals away from the highway, and two is allowing them to access the Bow and Elbow rivers. We know that animal vehicle collisions pose a significant safety concern for both people and wildlife. To mitigate the potential for collisions between animals and vehicles, wildlife fencing contained within the Transportation Utility Corridor will be installed to prevent wildlife from entering the highway and to guide them to safe crossing locations, such as below the bridges on the Bow and Elbow rivers. During construction, emergency access to all adjacent communities, businesses, and commercial facilities is maintained. The contractor is required to meet Alberta Transportation's design and traffic accommodation standards for all detours and closures. This includes plans to accommodate emergency vehicles during construction. Prior to implementing any traffic shift, the contractor is responsible for communicating all traffic modifications to emergency response agencies. This includes Alberta Health Services, Dispatch 911, police and fire departments, among others. We have received some questions and concerns about the three-way stop at the intersection of Crestmont Blvd, 109th Street, and 1st Avenue Southwest, and if there are plans for traffic signals at this intersection in the future. When roads are designed, both the capacity and the traffic controls are based on projections for traffic volumes in the future. The traffic volumes account for future development and population estimates. Based on the projected traffic volumes for this area, the three-way stop is sufficient and a traffic signal is not warranted. However, if the traffic projections change as the city evolves and development is realized in the area, further improvements to this intersection may be warranted. Any such improvements would not be completed as part of the scope of this project, but may be undertaken by the City of Calgary or a developer in the area, if and when required. We understand Albertans are eager to use this new infrastructure. Full completion of the West Calgary Ring Road is currently anticipated in 2024. While we've come a long way in this project, there is still a lot of work yet to be done. Until construction is completed, each project remains under the care and control of the contractor completing the work. The contractor may open sections of the road to traffic as they become ready. Open to traffic dates will be contingent on work site and road user safety. Further information will be shared with the public as these dates are known. "2022 will be another significant construction season for the North Project, with construction activity happening across the entire site. In Alberta, the construction season is short, and the contractor will continue to maximize their progress with an emphasis on shifting traffic to many of the new roads and bridges this year. Adjacent residents can expect a similar construction environment as previous years, including increased noise during construction activity, dust, overnight work, which may be required to minimize impacts to traffic during the day, while also allowing the contractor to continue to progress the work, and traffic detours and at times delays. Dust is continuously monitored during construction, and dust mitigation strategies are reviewed and revised as appropriate. Many external factors, such as outdoor temperatures, precipitation levels, and wind direction, impact residents' experience of dust during construction. Mitigation measures used on this project may include watering, use of dust suppressant products, and hydroseeding, which is a planting process that sprays a mixture of seed and mulch on surfaces to minimize dust. This measure is only used on areas where no additional work or disturbance will be completed. Alberta Transportation and our contractor remain committed to minimizing construction delays and impacts where practical. However, it's important to note that it is not possible to undertake this magnitude of work without some disruption, and we acknowledge that living next to a major construction site can be challenging. Thank you for your continued patience during this time. In 2022, there will be a push to shift traffic onto final alignments. The key areas where work will be concentrated this season includes the Trans-Canada Highway and Stony Trail interchange, completing mainline Stony Trail bridges, eastbound Trans-Canada Highway from Old Banff Coach Road up to and including the Valley Ridge Boulevard interchange, paving southbound Stony Trail between Trans-Canada Highway and Old Banff Coach Road, and completing stormwater management infrastructure. Several traffic shifts will be required to move traffic to new roads and to complete tie-ins. Over the course of construction, the project team is committed to providing accurate and reliable information to the public. Project information and construction updates are shared regularly on the project website and in the weekly newsletter. Alberta 511 and the City of Calgary's traffic information map are the most up-to-date sources of traffic information. As people begin to enjoy summer activities and travel, construction will also be ramping up. We encourage you to stay informed and plan ahead when traveling through the construction zone.